Starfield just got a new patch, and it's the patch 1.9.67. I'm using a Ryzen 5 3600 16GB of DDR4 3200 MHz RAM and an RX 6600. With the system specs out of the way, let's show you guys settings here. We're using 1080p with ultra maximum settings and motion blur is turned off. As you can see right here, we have the option now for FSR3. This new patch actually goes ahead and adds FSR3 to the game with including XeSS. Now today I'm going to try to run FSR3 and I'm going to see that what kind of an improvement does it do, and does it give any kind of issues with the screen, and should you be installing this update or not. Alright, so we're going to try first with the native resolution and ultra maximum settings. We're at the base area right now. As you guys can see, this is our base, kind of a base, and we're getting about 29 to 30 FPS. Now let's go ahead and start counting the frames. This is with everything off and the native 1080p resolution. While I've started counting the frames here, as you guys can see, we're getting about 30 FPS average at maximum settings. Now this area is kind of very CPU intensive also, so this might be a test for CPU intensive areas for this game. And I've already tested out previous patches for this game, and from my previous video I've got to know that it had some audio issues. So what I'm going to do in this video is basically I'm going to write down on the screen. You can see the performance with the previous patch, and you can compare it to this one. Because we're testing native right now, I'm going to display that on the screen here. I think I did native and FSR2 also for the previous patch for each of the area. Now as you guys can see, we're increasing some FPS as we're going from here. We're getting about 34, 35. That's pretty good, but for smooth experience, that's not like we can lock it down to 30 with RTSS and get very good performance at 30 FPS. But still, some people might prefer to be at 60 all of the time. Now this was the thing. We're getting about 34 FPS here. Now I don't know the previous numbers. You guys might be able to see that on the screen. And yeah, let's go back to that area and let's go ahead and enable FSR3 then. Alright guys, so we have come back to the start of this area, this scene, and what I'm going to do is now I'm going to enable FSR3 here. Now they've removed the option for FSR2 and added FSR3 to the game, because that made actually sense. There is no purpose to add FSR2 if you have FSR3 in the game. Now with FSR3, they've also got the option, you still have to use render resolution scale here. I don't know why they've not added upscaling quality presets here, because other options like XeSS do have these options, and FSR3 still relies on this render resolution scale. So in the previous video I used 67% render resolution scaling, because that equates to quality FSR2. So I'm gonna just test it with FSR3 here, and let's go ahead and now go into the game. And let's start counting the frames. Yeah, immediately I can see that the frame rate has improved somewhat, like 2 to 3 FPS, and it's at 31 right now, 32, 34 now. Yeah, so it's improved a lot, like 4 to 5 FPS I would say. But let's see the averages, at which point does it come at. So let's just go ahead and test it out. Yeah, as you guys can see, 42, 43, 44, 45. Yeah, so it's improved a lot. Previously we were getting like 32 FPS average here. Now we're at 37 FPS. And after this run I'm also going to do a run with FSR3 frame generation at 67% resolution scaling. We're gonna see that what kind of improvement do we see in these areas. Looks like 37, 38, 36. I don't know if from the previous patch what kind of an improvement that is, but seems like it seems to me like it's kind of the same, or it could be a little bit worse than the previous patch. I don't remember correctly because it was a long time ago, like a month ago. Alright, so 38 FPS average. Let's go back to the area and let's now enable FSR3 frame generation. Alright guys, we are back at the start point, and we got 37 FPS average at that time. Alright, so let's go ahead now and I'm going to enable frame generation here. This is going to be a test for frame generation only, and let's see what kind of an improvement do we see here and what the input lag looks like. Just looking at the image from just in standing position, I don't see any artifacts. This is amazing, and the plants and stuff also look good. Okay, let's start moving and see if we get some artifacts and stuff on the screen. Nothing guys. I must say this looks really good, and no HUD elements are being bad. Only the blue dot, I can see that blue dot is being a little bit funky here, but my crosshair, the map and stuff, my weapon logos, everything looks great. Okay, so let's start counting the frames. I just forgot to do that. So let's just try and run from here. 78, 77, 76, 70 FPS. And input lag kind of feels good right now, but when I started playing it from the previous area where we were getting like 60 FPS, it was not feeling very good. So I would say if you want to use frame generation with this, you should be using a controller. Now it's at 60 and I can feel some frame generation lag here. Yeah, I can feel it still. So yeah, I would recommend you guys that you should be using controller if you want to use that 60 FPS with the total frame rate and 30 base frame rate and 60 FPS full frame rate with frame generation. Alright, let's now go ahead and go to another area and see where we land with the performance. Alright guys, so immediately we could see that the performance was pretty good, but let's go ahead first and remove FSR3 and everything. Use 100% resolution scaling here and the same settings. Alright, now I always use this pattern for my tests in this area. Let's just start counting the frames here, and this is native resolution. This area is very GPU intensive, so I use this area to actually test out for GPU performance mainly. As you guys can see, we're getting very good GPU usage here. So yeah, let's just try to run through here and see what kind of a performance do we land at. Currently I'm seeing that we're getting some stutters. So previously in the previous patch I could also see that there were some stutters. As you guys can see, that was a huge stutter there. Maybe this is due to the crowd and everything, but yeah, it still stutters in this area. So yeah, getting about 48 currently, and 0.1% lows are gone to hell. Kinda like they've gone to hell. So 47 FPS is dropping right now. I think this performance is a little bit worse than previous patch. I don't remember correctly. You guys will be able to see on the screen because I will be in the post editing. I will be actually checking out the previous video also. What was the performance in the previous video? Alright, so getting about 48 FPS average with this. Now let's enable FSR3 with 67% resolution scaling. And here you go. Alright guys, we've enabled FSR3 with 67% resolution scaling now, and let's start counting the frames again. And I can already see some weird artifacts with the lines and stuff. With a little bit of with the narrow lines and stuff, I can see the artifacting on them. But that's a given. It's gonna happen. No matter what you do, it's gonna happen with FSR3. There's something stuck in my throat. Oh my god. Okay, so getting about 57 FPS average. The stutters are still there, and we got a huge stutter again. This area didn't have stutters previously, so now it's getting a stutter. Now it's getting stuttering. Alright, 57, 56, 55, 57 FPS average. 1% lows are good now. Not good, but still better than before. As soon as I say it, we got a huge stutter. And again a stutter. Oh my god. So getting about 57 FPS average seems like. Let's try to move a little bit faster. Run here. And yeah, so getting about 58 FPS. Now let's enable FSR3. And why am I going to help now? I don't need any help. Let's enable frame generation, 67% resolution scaling FSR3, and frame generation turned on. Let's see now if we get some artifacts and stuff. No, I don't see any artifacts. Nothing is wrong. Only the blue icons are kind of like weird. Rest of the things are good. Getting about 9900 FPS. Now this feels amazing. When the FPS is close to 60 FPS, this feels amazing. I don't know if you guys can on a YouTube video you guys will not be able to perceive the frame rate smoothness, because I can clearly see that the frame rate is 100 FPS right now, because I've got a 144 Hz monitor, and from 60 to 100 FPS it feels really good. Not feels, but actually looks very good. The feeling, I could say, is still at a 60 FPS input lag in my opinion, but frame rate, the smoothness of the frame rate is very good. Now what will happen is actually the person who is just sitting right beside you, who's looking at you play the game, is gonna say that the game is running pretty smooth, because that's the main gist of it. It's gonna look very smooth, but it's gonna not feel the smoother. Alright, so yeah, getting about 101, 102 FPS, that's expected from frame generation. This is a very good patch in my opinion. This should have been done a long time ago, but yeah, it's Starfield, so Bethesda maybe just took their time and polished it and stuff. And this looks very good. I couldn't see any artifacts and stuff. Just for a second, let's go ahead and increase the sharpness here. The render resolution, sorry, here. Let's just go to 100%. Yeah, so now the image looks amazing, guys. It doesn't have those FSR3 or FSR2 artifacts now. At least not much. There are still some, but at least it's not much. And the frame rate, you can see it's 80 FPS. The same could not be said actually for input lag, because I can feel the input lag increase a little bit going from 100 to 80 FPS. Alright guys, so I think that shows you and gives you the idea how the game is running with FSR3 patch, and I will also recommend you guys to install this patch. This is amazing. This is still in beta. I didn't see any crashes and stuff through my testing, and I can say that this is a very good patch. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave a like and subscribe to the channel for new content, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye bye.